Thanks, Alia. First of all, I want to thank everyone for attending. I'm really happy to see some familiar faces and some new faces, so thanks for coming. I'm also very, very happy and excited to introduce our 2021 conference chairs who are doing an awesome job. Given all the craziness this year, they really, really stepped it up and are doing an amazing job. I'm really excited for them to show you what they have planned for this year. So without further ado, Hank Johnson, Haifa Matos, Liz Sparlow, and Jonathan Steinberg.
Thank you, everybody, for attending today. Again, if you have any questions or anything, please put them in the chat. We'll be happy to answer them for you. I'm here today to kind of talk to you about the first thing that is on everybody's mind, which is public health. And it looks like we might have a technical on the slides.
This was working before. I can't get the slide to move. There we go.
Okay, so I'm here to update you on public health guidelines, and then Jonathan is going to go over our theme, our keynotes, and then Haifa will go through the call for the proposal system, so you can see how you can submit your research for NERA 2021. Next slide, please. So again, when we talk about the conference and the format and the way that it's going to go this year, we are looking at it from a public health perspective. My role at New England Institute of Technology is I am a professor. I teach in the public health department as well as the management department. And I'm here just to give you the straight numbers that we have from the Connecticut Department of Health that we received from them. And I just want to kind of just put this out there for everyone so that everyone's aware that we're basing our information based on the governmental numbers, what they are tracking, what they are doing. You might hear different numbers reported in the media. You might hear different numbers come out from politicians. But we're actually using the raw data that we get from the Connecticut Department of Health to look at and to analyze how we're going to hold the conference this year. So we're looking at either doing a hybrid conference where you'll have the option to be in person or online, or a fully online conference. So regardless of the way that you decide to submit your research this year, you will be able to present it. But just so you have kind of an understanding of where we're at now, as of April 11th, about 30% of Connecticut residents 18 and older have been fully vaccinated. And in the city of Trumbull, where we will be kind of where the in-person portion of a hybrid conference would take place, it's about 50% of the population there has about one dose. So Connecticut overall is kind of mirroring the country as a whole. Next slide. So again, current guidance in Connecticut is no different than most of where everyone is from. Indoor gatherings right now are still capped at 100 people. Masks are still required, and there are still some indoor spacing requirements as well. So there's, while things are getting better, that they have not opened up all the way as of yet. Next slide, please. So what did we do when we looking at a hybrid option or having a potential some in-person presentations? I got together a few of the Masters of Public Health students, and we kind of have a team that's been dedicated to monitoring CDC, monitoring the Connecticut Department of Public Health guidelines, and we've been really engaged in this process. So our team has actually taken courses from the CDC in preventing the spread of COVID, and also is trained in contact tracing as well. So if anything happens at an in-person event or whatever, NERA is ready to, has a team in place, ready to respond to whatever situation happens public health-wise. Next slide, please. So in that vein, next Wednesday, our public health squad is going down to the Trumbull Marriott, and we're going to be actually doing a site visit, coordinating with the hotel, looking at what a hybrid conference might look like in terms of cleaning, sanitizing, what restrictions that the hotel has that might be above and beyond the city and state guidelines. We're going to be mapping out the viability of in-person events. And one of the things that I want everybody to be aware of for the next time that we're together is that the Marriott Trumbull has been wonderful working with us. They've been very supportive. They've actually allowed us to kick out deadlines down the road, so we can really potentially do a hybrid conference in October. Next slide, please. So what does all this mean? Well, under current guidance, if it was today, the conference would be fully virtual. With the restrictions that are in place, the conference just wouldn't be viable. But if the current trends hold, and if the vaccination numbers keep going up, we might be able to host a conference. Now, being able to and actually doing it are two different things, which we'll talk about in a minute. But the one thing that you can do as members of NERA that would be a huge help to the co-chairs is in the early part of May to late May, you may receive a survey from us asking for some more information about would you prefer in person, would you prefer virtual, etc. The sooner that you can respond to that survey, if it gets sent to you, would be a huge help to us for our planning purposes as well. Next slide. So to summarize where we're at with public health and what the format of the conference and all of that, there's basically three things that's going to determine the actual format of the conference. The first is it safe? If there's any risk whatsoever that an in-person, the hybrid portion of the conference is just not safe, it won't happen. The second is it needs to be fiscally responsible. If only 10 people are going to show up at the Marriott Trumbull, we can't do a hybrid. That hybrid piece just wouldn't work. It would just be too cost prohibitive for the organization to do that. And also, we're concerned also too, making sure that our members have the financial support and travel support and everything from their relative institutions to make sure that they can come as well. The public health team will be there in person during the conference, during the hybrid portion, to answer questions, to help out for whatever questions that you may have, to make you feel safe and secure that things are being addressed properly. And on behalf of all my co-chairs, the one thing that we are all unanimously in sync on is that your health and safety is our top priority. We're not going to just do a hybrid conference just for the sake of doing a hybrid conference. It will only if it is safe, reasonable, and fiscally responsible to do so. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan, who's going to give us a conference overview.
All right, thank you very much, Hank, and good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are, to everyone. It's great to have everybody here. I'm going to be spending about the next 15 to 20 minutes going through the conference overview. We were pleased to be able to post all of this information on the NERA website on this past Tuesday, the 13th. Many of you may have also seen the email that went out on Tuesday as well with a lot of the same information, but we wanted to make sure that we kind of talked it through a little bit because, there is a lot there, and we have in our planning made some changes from previous years, but we also wanted to just put out there right away kind of what we were thinking in terms of our featured sessions and, of course, the content strands that we are hoping to get proposals from you for. So with that, so here is our conference theme: using data to solve education's challenges. It's a bit lengthy, so I'm going to give you a few seconds to look that over. And I want to call your attention to really 4 areas that I think are really important for talking about this theme. We really wanted to be broad in talking about how data can solve education's challenges. We're talking about quantitative data, qualitative data, and anything in between, so it's all encompassing. And the second thing is, for those of us who have looked at user interaction data or process data, as it might also be known as to some, there are so much out there now than ever before. And that leads to the third point about how there really are these deep data footprints that are now accessible to more people than ever before. So there's a lot of opportunity for exploration within a collaborative research community such as NERA's. And we really do feel that the combination of researchers and school communities and everyone who's involved in the educational research community can truly partner. And we feel that through our theme and the conference this year, we can do a lot to help face and solve education's challenges. So I want to introduce you to our keynote speakers. For some of you, you may have seen this earlier, but let me just give you some background. So our first speaker on Wednesday, October 13th, and by the way, just so you know, all of the information about the speakers that I'm going to be describing now is up on the website as well. We have a link to their bios and pictures, so feel free to check that out. So our first keynote is Sarah Cohodes, Associate Professor of Economics and Education from Teachers College at Columbia University in New York. She will be speaking on Wednesday, October 13th. She is a faculty research fellow in multiple places. And she's also the co-editor at the Journal of Policy Analysis and Management. On Thursday, October 14th, probably during lunchtime, we will be hearing from Jennifer Bell Ellwanger, who's president and CEO of the Data Quality Campaign based in Washington, D.C. Jennifer used to be, before the DQC, she was at the U.S. Department of Education in multiple roles, a teacher in the Bronx, New York, and also in the Baltimore City Public Schools. Later that day, we're going to be having an invited panel. The topic will be perspectives on incorporating institutional data into P20 infrastructure, research, and policy. And so we're delighted to have Heather Kelly from the University of Delaware, who is very active in the Northeastern Association for Institutional Research, NEAIR. She will be our moderator. And our panel, we have three panelists. So Jennifer will be joining us for the invited panel as well later in the afternoon, along with Lynn Latukis from SAS. She used to be a College Board, and she is the Director of Global Academic Programs and Certifications. And we will also have Kate Akers from the Pennsylvania State System of Higher Education. Jennifer was actually helpful in getting Kate to come on board for this panel because Kate used to be in Kentucky and built one of the very renowned longitudinal data systems, which the DQC takes great pride in mentioning as an example. So we will be we're really delighted to have them that afternoon for the invited panel. We will also be having an invited symposium, date and time to be determined. Its title will be Developing Intercultural and Global Competencies for Teachers Through Global Education. The chair of that session will be David Moss, former NERA president from the University of Connecticut. He actually approached us about doing this session, so we were delighted to be able to accommodate him and his team. The two presenters we have lined up right now are Laura Baker. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but she is a professor at Hunter College and also in New York. And we also will be having Helen Marks from Southern Connecticut State University. And Helen serves as a professor of curriculum and learning in the College of Education. And one of the doctoral students from the UConn School of Education, John Simmons, will serve as the discussant. There may be one or two additional presenters in this session. We are waiting for more information from David and John, but as I said, date and time for this symposium to be determined. And more on the impact of this symposium with respect to the call in a few minutes. We also are going to be having 4 invited workshops, again, dates and times to be determined. The first will be from Ellen Mandanak, Senior Research Scientist at WestEd. She will be giving a workshop on culturally relevant data literacy. For those in the audience who may also be possibly attending the National Association of State Directors of Teacher Education and Certification Conference in June, she will be giving this workshop there as well. But we were delighted that she has agreed to give this same workshop for us. The second workshop will be from Arante Bennett from Villanova University. Arante serves as an associate professor of marketing. I actually worked with her many years ago before I came to ETS when I worked in New York City. If you go to, so her topic is allyship, which is, I consider it like the next, an evolvement of mentorship. She has a great video. If you put her name in on YouTube, it's about a 5 or 6 minute video where she really talks about allyship, the concept, and I learned a lot from that, and I think you will too, so I encourage you to check out that video. We also will be having a workshop on R-Basics and data visualization, led by Monica Erbacher from the University of Arizona. Monica, many of you in the who are familiar, have been coming to New York for a long time, may remember Monica. She was at James Madison previously. She also is a previous chair of our communications committee. And 2 of her doctoral students, James Smith and Sergio Castro, will be joining her for that workshop. And then finally, Christine Stevens from the New England Institute of Technology, same place where Hank is from, and along with Heather Harris. She's an independent consultant, but she's also our social media coordinator for NERA. They will be giving a workshop on creating a strong personal brand for your services. I encourage those here today to reach out to their graduate students that they know, and I think this is a great opportunity for them. So we hope you will come to one or all of these workshops. Again, more information forthcoming. So now that leads us to the core of this, the proposal information. Just to put this in perspective, we had, many of you may be familiar with our traditional list of keywords. We were using this list for a number of years up through 2019, and you can see that there's a lot there. And then in 2020, while we had, for those who attended, we had a pared down conference a little bit due to having to work around COVID. But there were some new topics that came out, and in the planning for the 2021 content strands, it kind of made sense to try and see if we could blend some of these together in sort of higher level categories. And I think what you're about to see kind of does a good job at representing that consolidation effort. And part of the reason for doing that is, NERA encompasses a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different experiences from a lot of different groups, and we wanted to make sure that all of those were represented as much as possible. So I'm going to go in a clockwise direction for the 9 content strands that we have, and again, all of this information is up on the website as well. So the first one is solving educational policy challenges. So this actually kind of is a continuation from last year's primary theme for the primary content for the conference. Some of you who, again, if you were there, we had a coordinated session discussing stakeholder responses to challenges posed by the pandemic. And as we know, a lot of these have persisted into 2021, and how social culture has been impacted by things like the digital divide, the ability to reopen schools in the midst of COVID, assessment of student learning and accountability. So, we're hoping that we will once again see proposals coming from this area for 2021. The next one is innovations in quantitative research methods and resources. This really speaks to not just the educational, the psychometrics and measurement that you might be used to seeing, but it really is meant to take a hard look at how the data science and AI movements have impacted our work. And there are different analysis and visualization tools that are out there now more than before. So while we're looking for some of those traditional psychometric and ed measurement types of submissions here, we're looking at also at how people are using different statistical software, different databases like IPEDS or the surveys that are put out by NCES, but also innovative approaches such as data mining, machine learning. And if you're familiar with some of the publicly available databases that are out there, like Stanford's or what AERA has with ICPSR, these are also good reference materials for potential submissions as well. The next one is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And with the recent surge in advocacy for social justice reform, this is a real opportunity to educate ourselves in how we recognize, value, and respect differences in people and learners on many different levels. And it could be based on personal characteristics, geographic characteristics, economic characteristics, institutional characteristics, and perhaps many others. So we're really hoping that given where things are with our country right now, that we will see some submissions that are how to take the data that is out there and put it towards questions related to civil rights and other relevant issues. The fourth one is higher education. We know that because of COVID, higher education has been radically transformed, and there are emerging questions related to the value of and access to a post-secondary experience. Campus life has been changed, and we know that colleges and universities are really struggling to stay afloat given the COVID-related changes that needed to be made along instructional lines, particularly through distance learning. And also has been a lot in the news, especially if you know anyone who perhaps just sent in their acceptances to college as a soon-to-be freshman or first-year student. The strong rise in test optional policies may affect the demographic profile of future incoming classes. So submissions along these lines are certainly welcome under this strand. So remember I mentioned the David Moss will be leading the symposium about global education, and that's why it also made sense, I think, to have a strand unto itself for global education. Even with COVID going on, the global economy continues to rely on incorporating new insights about culture, communication, and citizenship in order to evolve. And this opens doors to explore perspectives and ideas on a world scale in preparation for adult life in the workforce. So college students usually do this by studying abroad and immersing themselves in what a different life in a different country has to offer. Obviously, that has now changed somewhat with COVID, but there may be ways that people are still finding ways to have that experience, or things may open up going into the 21-22 year. But you also have the perspectives of global education that come from those large-scale survey programs such as PISA, PIAC, and TIMSS. So this is a new area for NERA, but I think it's a good time to invite submissions along these lines. So we hope you will take advantage of this new strand opportunity. This new opportunity with this strand, that's what I would like to say. Strand number 6 is alternative research methods. So, this is not just meant to be for the, purely quantitative, but more, we know that there are broader ideas out there from the qualitative arena, the mixed methods arena, and the program evaluation arena. But also, if you throw in cognitive science, neuroscience, industrial and organizational psychology, and economics, there's really a lot of different perspectives, and it's not just the core areas, as I mentioned. So we think all these perspectives together allow for definitely for quality research and new insights. So this is an expansion and perhaps of previous previous content strands, but we hope you'll take advantage of this. The 7th one is P12 educators as researchers. And I must give thanks to Salika Lawrence, head of the Educators Researcher Committee for NERA. They came with this because we felt it was important to recognize just how much this community has to offer to NERA as part of the annual conference. So they have a great deal to offer in currently facing challenges requiring flexibility and creativity to provide students with the best possible educational experience and opportunities for classroom learning, whether in person, hybrid, or virtual. So this is an invitation for teacher researchers, practitioners, community members, school administrators, and education researchers to submit proposals on projects that address issues such as equity and inclusion, culturally responsive teaching, which is also why we wanted Ellen Mandanak to come do a workshop for us, deeper learning and rigor for all students, social and emotional learning, instructional leadership as well. So please take advantage of that. The last of the primary strands is related to the education and educational research workforce. They are meant to be two different things. At a time when data is so rich and there are related job prospects are thriving because of the data science movement, people are picking up these skills all over the place to help attain their future educational and professional goals. And this puts an onus of responsibility on high schools and the higher education community to provide appropriate development pathways for students across the age spectrum so that these interests can be pursued. So if you are interested in submitting something related to pipeline of educational research professionals that kind of bring together data science, educational measurement, educational assessment, et cetera, please take advantage of this strand. And I just want to say that you are not limited to any one of these strands. You can definitely mix and match. When Haifa gets the proposal system, I think she has a screen where you can identify more than one additional areas besides the primary one. So please be on the lookout for that. But certainly, we are very open to new ideas that may not fit any one of these 8 primary content strands. So we do have a miscellaneous content strand, and so please feel free to use this one as well. And when it comes to doing assigning papers to sessions, we will take all of these viewpoints into account and try to make sure that we slot your submissions appropriately. So we will be using the online system that we've been using in past years, but I want to just make sure that people are aware of the fact that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, all presenters will be allowed to present virtually for sure, but if we go hybrid, that you might be able to come in person if you feel comfortable to, but we are not going to force anyone to do anything they are not comfortable doing. We hope this will foster a sense of further collaboration and involvement so that everyone who is interested to submit proposals has the opportunity to do so. And with that, I will now stop sharing my screen so that Haifa can take over, and she will show you our proposal system.
All
Haifa?
right, thanks, Jonathan. Let me just pull up the screen here. Let's see if this works. Can everyone see this website that I have up? I'll ask Jonathan if he can just give me a yes or no. Just
Yes,
so that okay,
you
perfect.
are good.
Awesome, great, thank you. All right, so as Jonathan had mentioned, we are going to be using the same online system that we have in past years. So for those of you who have submitted proposals before, this will look very similar, but we really wanted to kind of give everyone the opportunity to take a look at this online submission system because we know we do have some new faces and some new interest in NERA and attending the conference, and hopefully many of you will submit proposals. So we wanted to just make sure you get a glimpse into what the system looks like, so you know what to expect. But certainly, if you have any questions, during the process, feel free to email us at the NEER co-chair's email address. All right, so here, when you get the link, when we open up the submission system, we're going to send everyone a link, and it will bring you here to this online platform where you will submit. First of all, what's required, most importantly, is the author information. So you put in your first name, your last name. Here under alternate role, this is really only if you are submitting a symposia. As you see here, then you would designate your chair or discussant. But if you're submitting a paper or a poster or anything like that, you just put yourself and any other authors as just author for the role. You can provide your organization and your position title. Your email is required, and the rest of the information here. We definitely would ask for your address and your phone number as well. If you have additional authors, you'll see you have plenty of opportunities to add up to 10 co-authors as well. So one of the things I want to make sure folks are paying attention to is when you submit any information on the system that you click save and continue, or you will see a save and exit if you wanted to just save it and come back to it later. After your author info, then you are being asked to provide a topic selection, and you'll see that these selections mirror those content strands that Jonathan just went over in the previous slides. So here you should select the main content strand that your proposal is kind of related to, and then you'll see that there'll be another opportunity for you to then choose up to 2 more related content strands. So once you've picked your content strand, then you can move on down to your proposal type selection. So either an individual paper, poster, roundtable, or a theme-based paper session or symposium. You click save and continue. And then you can go into providing us with some of the details that we may need to prepare for the conference. So it's not required that your proposal address the theme of this year's conference, but we certainly encourage you guys to try and tie in the theme. And if it does, then we would like you to please select here, whether it does or if it doesn't, just leave it blank. If you have any AV requirements, so if you plan on, if we do go hybrid, and if you plan on attending in person, if you have any AV requirements, we ask that you provide that here. If there are any scheduling limitations for you, if, for example, if your schedule does not allow for you to present on Thursday morning, please let us know so we can try to accommodate, all of the presenters, the schedules as much as possible if we can. Here we ask if you are a teacher or administrator at any level to please indicate that. And here's where you have the opportunity to select up to 2 additional content areas to describe your submission. And again, these mirror the content strands. And we also ask that you please double check that your submission, your proposal is less than 1,000 words, not inclusive of references, tables, and figures. Then you save and continue. Okay, and then here is where you would be providing the title of your proposal, an abstract for it, and then you would upload your proposal here where, for example, you can click on choose file. And one thing I do ask is that you ensure that the file is either a PDF or a Word document. If it's not, you will get an error that'll pop up in the next screen. You save and continue, and then it'll ask you to review the information that you've just provided. Make sure that the author information is correct, the title of your proposal, the abstract, you've got the right file. And and then you can go ahead, click confirm and submit. All right, and then you'll get a confirmation of your submission. And then, we will go through the process of then assigning reviewers and, go through that whole process, over the course of the summer. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing here and then, oh, no, not stop video, stop share. And I will hand it over to, I don't know if it's Jonathan or Stephen who are going to be fielding, oh no, Elizabeth to fielding questions.
I have one more slide. And so just so everyone is also worth it, so first, thank you, Haifa. I also should have acknowledged, so thanks to Hank, we've had some interns from NEIT. They have joined us throughout the course of the last term, and now starting with the new two who are joining us for this term. So Abby McLaughlin was helpful in putting together the descriptions that you see for the content strand, so I just want to acknowledge her work. The slides are going to be made available. We are going to post them on the website along with the recording of the webinar afterwards. So if you missed anything, or if you knew someone who know someone who couldn't make it, we will have this all, and we will have this information for you, and Haifa's slides will be included with that. Okay, all right. So just in terms of scheduling, so because I'm sure people want to know what's going on. So again, this past Tuesday, we were thankfully able to release the call for proposals. We will open the online proposal system formally in May. We just want to make sure that, Haifa did a test run for you just now, but we want to make sure that it's working to as close to perfection as possible to make life easier for people. Also in early May, so that'll be in early May, we will also around that time open a call for reviewers. It turns out we actually got someone already who was willing to review. It did come in the call. So there's a form there, but we'll send out a more formal email in early May. And as mentioned earlier, there were a couple of things we're waiting to see how they develop. As Hank said, their site visit next week is important, but definitely by as soon as we can, probably by the end of May, we will definitely have a final decision on the conference format. It might be sooner depending on certain circumstances. So we obviously will get the word out as soon as we can so that people can begin to think about that. But either way, whether we are hybrid or virtual, the call for proposals will close on Monday, June 7th. We'll then go into review mode and hope to have decisions released to the first authors by August. In early October, the very beginning of October, final papers and presentations will be due. And then the conference will take place October 13th through the 15th. So again, we hope you will join us for all of this and stay with us throughout the rest of the spring, summer, and then into autumn as we get set for this 52nd annual conference. So I think that is it for the primary slides. So I will now stop sharing once again. And I think now we are up to the Q&A.
So we have a question in the chat from Steph Brown about the upload system. What is the maximum file size for upload?
Yeah, I'll take that. So I was just looking at it, and it looks like it's about 550 megabytes. It'll tell you that too when you're in the system also.
Okay. So I think we also have a question. Liz, do you want to read it from Jen Geary? Do you see that?
Not seeing that. Did she maybe send it
Okay.
just?
Maybe it came just to me. Okay. So Jen asked, who qualifies to present? Would you accept the submissions outside of the United States? So Jen, I know you are joining us from Canada. So welcome. And yes, completely open. Anyone and everyone is welcome to submit. No restrictions on geography or any other characteristics. So by all means, please feel free to do so. So thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we just got a new one.
Yes. Does membership require to submit a proposal? What is the conference registration fee for graduate students? And if there isn't a set one yet for this year, what was last year's rate?
Okay. So Hank, I don't know if you want to take the registration fee part of this first. Yeah, I think you're on mute, Hank. There
Sorry,
you go.
yeah. So again, it really depends on the format of the conference. If we do a hybrid conference, the fees are going to, we have an idea of what they're going to be. And I can't remember what the exact dollar amount is off the top of my head, but there will be a fee that for the hybrid, if it's hybrid. If it's virtual, we you know, it'll be probably more similar to what we did last year. But you know, it really depends on the format of the conference, which is going to end up being what the fees are. But for graduate students, it is you know, a reduced rate compared to professional and other members. And I'll go find the numbers so I can make sure I give accurate information.
Okay. And then to the second part of this question about is membership required to submit a proposal? The answer is no. You know, again, we want people to become part of the NERA community. Stephen will correct me on anything I say here incorrectly, but you know, we definitely want people we want to grow our community wherever we can. Now, so there will be, Stephen, if I'm correct about this, if upon acceptance and registration, you do pay membership fees at that point, correct?
Let me jump in and say a couple of things. Number one, anyone can submit proposals, no membership required, but to attend the conference, whether it be in person, hybrid, or virtual, and you have to be a member to attend. So no membership to submit, but you become pay membership first before you register for the conference. To further answer what Hank was saying, last year's conference rates were, if we go, were for the fully virtual conference, were totally free to be virtual. So you have to pay membership. But as long as you're a paid member, last year you're able to go free to the virtual conference. And this year it'll be the same thing if we go fully virtual, probably. So if it's fully virtual, you still have to pay membership, which is very minimal. And for grad students, it's even more minimal. I think it's 25 grad students and 50 professionals, so it's very minimal, the membership. And then the registration fee will be free if it's virtual. If it's hybrid, it'll be a cost either way. It'll be a smaller cost if you're not in person. There'll be a cost for to pay for basically the live streaming everything. But and we'll tell you when we announce that officially. But again, if we go fully virtual, there'll be no cost beyond the membership cost.
Okay.
And
Thank you, Kate, for that.
If you're looking, yeah,
Go ahead,
if you were looking for planning purposes, yeah, a graduate student is about, we're looking at about $100 for a hybrid conference in person.
Okay, any other questions? I know we threw a lot at you, so don't be shy.
I have a question. Could you go back to the slide where you had the wheel with all the colors?
Oh, sure.
The last
Absolutely.
slide where it explains what all the colors are. And then also while you're doing that, I am an administrator. I'm also a faculty member and a doctoral student. So I would love to get the cheap price, but I'm wondering if there is a way, like what is best for me? You know, are the benefits different if you're a student versus an administrator or faculty member? How does it all work? I just learned about your organization, so Yeah.
Let me take that one. As a past treasurer of NERA, I'll tell you, we really go by the honor system. So please submit and pay whatever category you feel most appropriate. As a graduate student, you're definitely allowed to play the grad student rate, and we have no problem with that at all. If you feel as a professional that you would be happy to pay the other rate, we're happy for you to do it as well. No benefit either way. So it's whatever you prefer. We're happy with your choice there.
So what's the difference between the grad student rate for membership versus a professional?
You meaning what you get or the actual numbers?
The price and what you get. Sorry.
The price for membership, again, I don't have the number in front of me right now, but if I'm rounding here, it's probably $25 versus $50 for membership.
Oh, okay.
For the registration conference fee, it depends on what when we go. If we go virtual, it'll be zero either way. Depending on what you get, there is no difference either way. So
Okay. All right. Thank you. And thanks for showing that slide.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Did you have a specific question or you just wanted to see
No,
them again?
I'm all set. I'm done. I just needed to see it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Sure, no problem.
Screenshot. Thanks.
Okay, any other questions? As we said, you're more than welcome to email. That's why the email's on the bottom of every slide. So feel free to reach out at any time with questions moving through April, May, and then into June and beyond. All right, so if there aren't any, the proceeding, Kate is asking, I wonder if the proceeding is public or need to be a UConn student. All right, so there are proceedings, but not formally unless you want to take advantage of them. So there is something called, what is it called? The Commons, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and they are maintained by the University of Connecticut. And after the conference is over, we will then, we'll go through this at the time of the conference, but after the conference, those who wish to submit their paper to the proceedings are welcome to do so. It takes, having done this a couple of years ago, I can tell you, it probably will take, by the time we wait for anyone else who wants to join for it, it'll probably take a couple of months, but then it's from what I understand, a very quick process. So by early 2022, you should have your paper in the proceedings, and then you can get all kinds of tracking information. I know I get an email once a month from them about how many people have downloaded the paper. So it's, we didn't do it in 2020 just because of the reduced program, but it's something we've definitely gotten participation in previous years. So thanks to you for the question, Kate. So no, you do not need to be a UConn student. That's the second part I should have said. Okay. All right. So if there aren't any further questions, what I'm going to do now is turn the floor over to Carrie Cotter from our mentoring committee. She is going to give a preview of our next upcoming webinar.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Carrie Cotter. I'm part of the NERA mentoring committee this year. And I wanted to let you all know about our upcoming webinar we have planned. It's called Managing Your Career, and is scheduled for Friday, May 14th from 12 to 1:30 p.m. It's geared towards grad students or early and mid-career professionals who are interested in advancing their career in education, but really anyone is welcome to join. And we're going to have two panelists, Dana Kelly, who is the Director of Development and Reporting at the Tims and Pearls International Study Center, and Lizette Collins, who is the Assistant Superintendent at Yonkers Public School in New York. So the idea is they're both going to speak candidly about their work and mentoring and leadership experiences, and with a focus on how they have continued to work towards their career goals while excelling in the various positions they've held. I'm going to put the link to register in the chat, but we're also going to be sending out an official invite in the next week or so. And if you do have any questions, you can feel free to email us at the email address you see on the slide. And we hope to see a lot of you there.
Okay, are there any questions for Carrie? All right, so unshare. So if there aren't any other questions, we might be able to wrap up here. So I want to thank everyone for coming today. As Stephen said from the beginning, we are dealing with still some ongoing challenges and how we're actually going to pull this off, but we've definitely got a great team together, and under Stephen's presidency and his advice and leadership, it's been a great experience so far, and we're really looking forward to being able to have a wonderful conference in October, and we hope you'll join us. Whether you submit a paper or not, we hope you'll still join us for the conference. Again, I think it's going to be a wonderful experience, and we look forward to working with you and hopefully seeing you down the road.